Hello everyone. Today is our third episode of the show, and we will be discussing the topic of corporate social responsibility in the sphere of education. I'm happy to have Dr. Aina Freeman, Associate Professor of Economics, Business and Accounting, with us today to talk about this issue. Welcome to Business Talks with Deniz, Dr. Aina. I'm really glad to see you here. And
Thanks, I'm glad to be here.
thank you so much. And let me explain first what does corporate social responsibilities a few sentences. Corporate social responsibilities also abbreviated CSR. CSR is based on the following core ideas: people, planet, business, practices that improve quality of life for all stakeholders. So, Dr. Aina, now let me start off our conversation with my first question. My first question is that how can business schools teach the core values of CSR in their classrooms?
CSR is not really that complex of an issue. It didn't really come to the fore for many business schools until the Enron crisis,
Mhm.
which really promoted that businesses need to be held accountable and need to be um, held responsible for, in fact, what they're doing. So CSR is present in many institutions, including institutions in Turkey. What are the differences in CSR education
Mhm.
between Turkey and the United States, as you are from Turkey
Yeah.
and have education in both countries?
Actually, I was expecting this question, so I did some research and I read some articles. And I believe that there's certain dichotomy between the business environment and the sphere of education in Turkey with connection to CSR. And corporate world is actively recognizing the important role of ethical and socially responsible practices. And whereas universities in Turkey are the initial stage of CSR development, business schools are still insufficient to teach courses related to CSR and don't have enough capacity to produce students who would further integrate teachings of CSR into practice, I think. So, uh,
So it's emerging kind of in both countries.
exactly, yeah. So, continuing the topic of education and CSR, I would like to talk about the need of business to play an integral role um, in helping underdeveloped nations achieve education progress. Because children and adults in many countries are lacking education. So the question is, what business are doing to contribute positively and make the world a better place?
There's a number of businesses that are outstanding in their CSR
Mm-hmm.
initiatives. Um, Particularly looking at literacy, KPMG has a program that looks specifically at literacy around the world.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking, although many countries have mandatory schooling for children up to age 12 approximately for the primary schooling, there are many countries that don't even offer that.
Mm-hmm.
So KPMG is working in developing and emerging countries in order to facilitate the growth of education. Honda has uh, partners with the communities in which it operates,
Mm-hmm.
in order to support literacy. As you know, Rockford has an agency that deals specifically with literacy because
Yeah.
even here in Rockford we have people who need literacy training. So it's not just the third world. PepsiCo is one of the first, PepsiCo and Nike were a couple of the first to actually take their initiatives and put them in written form to produce a CSR report. In Europe, CSR reports are almost mandatory. You have to complete them. So PepsiCo has taken and is doing that over here in America, and as is Nike, and are leaders in their reporting. Google also does a lot in CSR, specifically in looking at climate change and poverty alleviation. They work around the globe, not only in emerging and developing countries, but poverty that is right here in the United States. So there's a lot of companies that are very much involved in doing CSR and in becoming socially responsible within the community and around the world in which they are operating.
So I want to answer this question for myself too. CSR in Turkish business schools,
Yes.
if you don't mind. And on the part of the business community, there are numerous efforts are being made to develop and to further implement the practices of CSR. And similarly to business environment, modern Turkish business schools are gradually implementing the basics of CSR in their curricula. Of course, there is still a lot of to be done to teach to the level of European or American universities, which are doing much better job in teaching CSR in their classrooms. And there are lots of lessons yet to be learned. And Ministry of Education in Turkey, I read a few articles about that. Ministry of Education in Turkey is sponsoring various educational projects that help to get the ideas of CSR across various business and educational structures. So I think we started to do good job in my country, in Turkey, I believe.
I would agree with that because there is, and I'm gonna mispronounce it. I'm sorry. The Istanbul Bilgi.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
University of Bilgi. Yeah.
University is recognized very much for how much they have incorporated CSR into their teaching
Wow.
and into their activities. For instance, 4% of their revenues go to research centers that are specifically looking at these issues. So Turkey isn't that far behind in it. It's simply approaching it through a different means. But universities are actually contributing to CSR initiatives, somewhat similar to Rockford University has NICNI downstairs, and NICNI is working with the community. So Rockford University could be seen as conducting CSR in supporting and enhancing the community using NICNI.
I'm really glad to hear that. I didn't know that Bilgi University is doing good job, and it's such a great university.
Thank heavens for the web.
Doctor, and I would love to continue this conversation, but unfortunately we are running out of the time. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and knowledge with us today. It was a great pleasure to have you on the show. Looking forward for our next conversations. Why not, right?
Exactly, and thank you for being willing to talk about CSR.
Pleasure is mine, really. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Today, I had Dr. Aina we talked about CSR and corporate social responsibilities. It was such a great interview for me. And finally, I believe that education should expand the mind and free spirit. I hope through done both this interview we have. See you next time.